Is this legit? Mountain Dew? I will never stop missing these.
I mean, I used to drink this like water back in the day.
It's literally a Mountain Dew commercial. Now, this episode of World Beyond did something I didn't think it was going to do for a while. It actually questions the reason for the zombie virus. Now, this calls back to something we heard earlier this year, where Robert Kirkman actually commented on it for the first time ever on what caused it. He replied to a random tweet with Space Spore. Now, whilst that was just a facetious comment and he did try to play it off as a joke after, we then have a scene this episode of a character talking about a rumour that it started in space. So it's really likely World Beyond is going to dive much deeper into it, and we're going to dive more into that scene where a soldier actually talks about it. But for now, let's review and break down World Beyond Episode 7. Before we begin, make sure you subscribe so you're the first to hear about The Walking Dead and the first to see my videos. So first of all, I want to commend World Beyond on what they did with Tony. Now, in the last review of episode 6, I said I wasn't really that keen on Tony or Percy because what they were doing to the story wasn't good for the CRM, and I care more about the CRM than I do than these two characters. Tony just happens to have a stolen CRM van when the CRM are meant to be much more careful. How have Tony and fucking Percy escaped the CRM and Rick Grimes hasn't? But at the end of this episode, out of nowhere, Tony is found and he's been done. When I say done, I mean Abraham and Glenn done. I mean, it's borderline Glenn. I mean, he's got no face, I can barely show you it. But Iris comes across his body and someone has killed him, but we don't know who. We see Silas's wrench covered with a cloth just beside his body. And then in the stool opposite to him, we see a drunken Silas. Now, we're obviously meant to believe straight away that Silas did this. We know he didn't like what was happening throughout the episode with Percy ever since we saw him. It's clear Percy has an interest in Iris, but Silas has an interest in Iris. And he simply just doesn't like him. But why would he kill his uncle? Did he kill his uncle because he was doing something to Percy? Is that why Percy's missing now? I personally think Silas is innocent. He's a calm and caring boy. But of course we're meant to believe it's Silas. His wrench is there, and he's all drunken in the corner at 17 because things are going really well for him. In the trailer for the next episode, we see some of the characters want to leave him. I think that's going to be characters like Hope, who is quite dramatic. Once they find out and they assume it's Silas, they're going to want to leave him behind because he's a psycho now. And it does look like Silas is almost admitting to it in the trailer, but remember, he was drunk, so he doesn't remember. He likely even believes it himself. He knows what he's like and what he's capable of. And honestly, if it doesn't turn out to be Silas, then I think we should just be looking at who gave him the drink. It could be Percy. Now, why would he kill his own uncle? Well, if it's him, we're going to find out. There's the possibility that it is just another villain. It's another enemy that's done this, but why would they be using Silas's wrench? And why is Silas coincidentally drunk in the corner? It's either Silas or someone has framed Silas, and no new enemy would need to frame anyone. The only time you'll need to frame someone is when you intend on sticking around and not taking the blame. There's a scene where they're playing a game at the table and Percy asks Hope what's the worst thing she's ever done. And he takes it a bit too far. After she answers, he keeps pushing for the real answer. And that's when Silas gets involved and tells him to stop.
Something? Come on, spill it. It's the worst thing you ever done.
She already told you it's the laxative thing.
Sorry, no, I don't think it is.
Stop!
He read it halfway through. He was like, stop. Oh, fuck.
Stop!
Yeah, that showed him, big man. It was at this moment where you realise Percy maybe isn't who he says he is. Maybe there's something else to him. I'm sure if it is Percy, there's going to be some kind of confrontation or conflict shown with Tony that shows why he would have done this. I mean, he is a con man after all. But at the same time, Silas is just genuinely unstable. He has actual issues that makes him react like this, and it's just not looking good for him.
Thing was, he wasn't with me more than a day before I knew I'd give my life for his.
All the best characters get their heads smashed in. Glenn, Abraham, Joel. Now what made this episode so great was actually seeing Huck's backstory. Now I said from the start I wanted to see more of Huck. We've seen all these characters' backstories, sometimes even given a whole episode to it. But Huck is the one that seems the most pointless. Yet we still didn't get stuff about her, but this episode we finally got that backstory, and it was really good. Huck mentioned having a military background, but in this episode it was revealed she was a Marine. And we see her just as the apocalypse is starting. And as we saw from the military in the first season of The Walking Dead, the military were ordered to kill innocent people. And Huck was one of the Marines ordered to do that. The stuff that makes her backstory so different and so good is, once she was ordered to kill the civilians, she shot her fellow Marines instead. And that's how she got this scar. She scarred her face to remember what happened that day, and it's the same scar that her friend Drake had. She was close with him, and he was of course one of the Marines that she shot down. So it's a good backstory, and it was a really good way to thread back to the beginning of the apocalypse and her part as a Marine. What the military did at the start of it is big, and we got to see more of that. What she had to do that day was also embedded in saving Hope from being shot. Now let's finally look at this scene that mentions the virus and how it started. In one of Huck's flashback scenes as a Marine, her and her group are walking through a hallway, and one of the Marines known as PFC Owens mentions the rumours of how this all started.
I heard it came back in a rocket, that it started in space. You know, somebody breathed it in, it turned their stomachs, and then they got on a plane.
Shut up, Owens.
He heard it came back from a rocket, that it started in space. Then the infected person got on a plane and went to somewhere else. Now already it's matching up perfectly with Robert Kirkman saying it started with a space spore. Now bearing in mind it starts at the beginning of the apocalypse, as it's just starting, that means that Owens was probably watching the news when he found this out. Although it is just a rumour, it's something that he just heard. It's what people were saying that it was when it was just starting out. And this is stuff that the CRM will likely be looking into now. They are of course looking for a cure, and so looking at how it started is big. And it doesn't mean they're going to go to space, but the fact that it started in space is big. And that of course would play into the idea of new walkers or different kinds of walkers. If that is a possibility with the way they're manipulating the walkers and the people they're experimenting on, I think this is the way to do it. In the video where we spoke about the space spore tweet, I mentioned how that is a new kind of threat as well. If The Walking Dead did go on, the next on the to-do list after building that civilization would be the walkers, because that's the next threat. They've been through all the confrontations they need to over the years. The next obstacle would be the walker problem, but now the show's ending, I don't think it's going to touch on that at all. It's so interesting because he says it started on a rocket, then the person that was infected came down and then went on a plane. So it seems like it's been thought out how it all started, and I don't think we're going to see anything about it this season, but an episode of the second season of World Beyond, after all that's the final season, with the CRM doing their research, I think that's absolutely an episode that can take place. How it started. I think it's something that Elizabeth knows, or whoever the higher up is of the CRM, is something they know. I mean, it's almost obvious. Just look at the jackets, the helmets that these soldiers wear. It was likely planned before, so the person that did it must have known that one day something was going to happen for them to prepare like this. They had to have known there was something in space, especially to keep 200,000 people in a city alive. It's unlikely that even in the 10 years of the apocalypse that they've had in the Walking Dead universe, that they were able to do that. And funnily enough, this is the first thing we see in the trailer for episode 8.
On the next episode...
It likely doesn't mean anything, it's just a shooting star, but it's interesting. Space spore. What do you think? Do you think anything's going to come from this? I mean, we've just heard a character talk about the rumour, so is it true? Do you think a space spore really started the Walker virus? And who do you think killed Tony? Was it really Silas? Make sure you let me know down below in the comments. If this video entertained you, then make sure you press the like button. It will help me out and look at this video seen by more people. If you did enjoy it, then make sure you check out my other videos. Check out this one. We look at the end credit CRM scene from episode 6 of World Beyond. It could be teasing a new kind of walker. And of course, make sure you subscribe so you're the first to hear about The Walking Dead and the first to see my videos. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.